Oh, there we go.
Call to order the July 6th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. First order of business is Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We could have the roll call, please.
Yes, Pearson.
Here.
Willenbring.
Here.
Campbell. Absent. McCauley.
Here.
Solarski.
Here.
Diata.
Yes.
And Hagan is absent.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm assuming we do have a quorum at this.
Yes.
Yes. Approval of the minutes from June 1st, 2023. Does anyone have any corrections or changes they want?
Mr. Chair. So I did get a comment from Commissioner Hagan. She had emailed me, and she did have a comment. So this is on page 6 of the minutes, or labeled as page 6 of the minutes. So her comment was in regards to 17th Street and Century Avenue. In the minutes, it says 50th Street and Century Avenue. So just a minor point of distinction. So it's 50th Street on the Oakdale side. It's 17th on the, is it the Maplewood?
Paul side.
Or North St. Paul side, thank you. So it's, if that's a distinction that you would like to make and just want to point that out. So.
It makes a difference in North St. Paul. Any other suggestions? Seeing none, I ask for them to be approved as submitted or as corrected.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. We have no old business, so new business is a public hearing for Tracy Wagner at 2867 Hamlet Avenue North. A conditional use permit for a home occupation, popcorn production, and a commercial kitchen. We have a report.
Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. So here we have a conditional use permit for a commercial kitchen for a popcorn production facility. The location of the request is the applicant's home within one of the two garages at 2867 Hamlet Avenue North, located near the intersection of Stillwater Boulevard and Interstate 694. The purpose of the conditional use permit is for a conditional use or a commercial kitchen for the popcorn production, allowing the expansion of the applicant's existing popcorn business, which currently operates under Minnesota cottage law. The site is zoned R1, which does allow for home occupations. And for more details on the request, as previously stated, the applicant currently operates a small-scale popcorn business under Minnesota cottage foods law. The applicant looks to expand the operation by converting one of the two garages into a dedicated popcorn facility. The proposed popcorn facility would have the garage door removed as a part of the garage so that parking is not expected to be an issue, nor vehicle storage. As a part of this expansion, the applicant would require a wholesale food producer license from the USDA, which requires the applicant to receive all relevant permissions and permits from the city, in addition to meeting state and federal food safety regulations. No customer retail sales are planned to occur, and the applicant states that the delivery frequency is not expected to change from how it currently operates, which is at a relatively low level of impact. In the past, the city has approved other commercial kitchen home occupations, including catering businesses. So here we can see the applicant's first submitted site plan showing the relationship of the proposed facility in relation to the second garage and home. As previously mentioned, parking is not expected to be an issue as only one garage would be converted.
Actually, if you want to, if we can get the image on the screen, please. Oh. Yeah. Oh. My apologies, that was on me. So go ahead.
So as mentioned, here's the first site plan where you can see the relationship of the applicant's home as well as the proposed kitchen. And here we have a more detailed site plan of how the applicant is proposing to design the interior of the facility. Presently planned amenities include storage, preparation areas, sinks, space for equipment, and a half bathroom. Conditional use permits are subject to certain review criteria found in the city's ordinance. Here's a summary of the review criteria that we used in our evaluation: compliance with the comprehensive plan, compatibility with the use of different uses of zoning, no nuisance effects generated, no traffic congestion or parking issues, adequately served by public services, no excessive costs incurred for public services and infrastructure, and minimal impacts to the environment. Specifically for accessory structures, it cannot have more than one external non-family employee. It must occur within principal and accessory structures only, in this case the accessory structure. No noticeable noise, vibration, excessive smoke, dust, electrical disturbance, or odors, heat, or glare. The hours and the intensity of the operation must be limited, and on-site advertising must be limited. Overall, staff finds that the conditional use permit review criteria of the ordinance has been satisfied, as detailed in the staff report on file. Staff recommends approval of the request, subject to the following conditions. The accessory structure, apologies for that. Let's move on to the next page. We have a bit more information on the proposal. Here we can see the applicant's proposed equipment for the facility, including a popcorn maker, caramel mixer, and cheddar tumbler. The equipment, compared to other commercial kitchen equipment, is considered to be of relatively low concern, and our fire chief and building official had few concerns with the proposed items. Given the importance of building and plumbing code to this proposal, we spoke with our building official to determine any safety or compliance issues. Overall, he felt that the proposal seemed relatively straightforward, but did want to condition a few items. For one, in the site plan, as shown in the packet and on the previous slide, the restroom currently opens out into the kitchen. This is a food safety violation, so we are recommending a condition that the restroom have either a vestibule or open to the exterior of the building instead. Additionally, as a commercial kitchen, our building official wants to ensure that the proposal complies with plumbing code, so we are recommending a condition that the use as a commercial kitchen comply with state plumbing code, and any sewer line connections be at least 60 inches below grade and sufficiently insulated to prevent freezing. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Hours of operation for the use shall be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. daily. The applicant shall ensure that the facility complies with state plumbing code. Any sewer line connections be 60 inches below grade and sufficiently insulated. The applicant constructs site improvements to prevent the bathroom from opening directly into the food preparation area. The applicant shall not store vehicles in the premises of the facility. The applicant shall obtain and meet all conditions of the Minnesota Department of Agriculture wholesale food manufacturing license. As a reminder, this is a public hearing and the applicant is here in attendance. And now, as staff, we're happy to answer any questions you may have, and thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for Max from anyone on the commission? No. Okay. Seeing none, I will. You did?
Thank you for your key presentation, but just a couple of questions. So this is a home occupation. I'm assuming the product is not for sort of consumption by the family or the neighbor. Maybe have outside folks that they're supplying to. If that's the case, what is the amount of traffic that comes in? Is it like a daily, is it like a weekly, or is it a monthly? That is one question. My second one would be, if this gets approved and the applicant get to sell their home, will the next buyer be entitled to the same approval that this current applicant has? Finally, if this were to be sold to anybody, what amount of traffic that comes into the neighborhood? Because again, home occupation meaning you occupy in the home as a residential, and we're assuming it's not going to change the resident character of the neighborhood. So, for example, let's say they have a nearby theater that's having, or maybe a bonfire going on. Would everybody be coming to buy this, either by appointment or just sort of like come in and buy? In a way that may sort of take away from the way the neighborhood, sort of the residents live in a normal situation.
Max, I'll let you address that.
Thank you, Commissioner. With regard to family consumption, I will defer to the applicant on that, as that's not something we asked during the application process. However, as a wholesale food facility, per the USDA regulation and the license they would be required, they cannot have, the majority of sales must be wholesale towards other businesses. We were told that the amount of vehicles that would be coming in would be quite minor, as they mainly would deliver it otherwise or go to fairs and such, but we can ask the applicant that as well. They do not expect deliveries as well in that sort of traffic to differ much from where they are right now, as typically they are having popcorn, caramel, and cheddar products delivered to the house in relatively infrequent monthly intervals. With regard to the conditional use permit, I will ask Luke if this is correct, but I do believe that it would be tied to Paradise Popcorn LLC and the applicant.
So I guess a point of distinction there, it's, as a conditional use permit, it does run with the land. So in theory, if a subsequent owner of the property, buys the property and wants to operate a popcorn production commercial kitchen, they could do so. It seems unlikely that situation might come up, but it is a possibility. And then,
If I could draw one clarification from what Max said, I'm assuming from what's in the introduction, no customer sales will occur on site, and the applicant intends to generate revenue exclusively through online and off-site sales at special events.
That's what
There'll be no traffic from customers, whether the neighbors want it or not.
Yeah, that was detailed in the narrative we were provided. Right now, it's not a condition on the permit. If the board feels, or the commission feels that that would be necessary in order to keep the neighborhood functional and such, that is something we could potentially look into or recommend.
No, but it speaks to their intent, so. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but for clarification, so if the applicant were to sell, would the next buyer be able to operate the same way if they want to?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Okay. I open the public hearing for the conditional use permit for a home occupation, popcorn production in a commercial kitchen. First off, I would say congratulations on your business expanding, I guess. And second, do you have any comments that you wish to make?
Sure. I don't know if it's inappropriate to answer some of the questions that you had, but our current business operates at fairs. And with our cottage food law, we are only able to supply our product to the person that is purchasing it. So this wholesale manufacturing license or use of the facility would allow us to wholesale to breweries that we've established relationships with and to sell online, which would allow us to increase our customer base and continue to build relationships with the customers that we are building relationships with at these particular events. So this is the next step for us to kind of grow our business rather than just having to go to events every single weekend, so.
Is anyone in the commission?
I just want to make a comment. I just want to thank you for taking the initiative to do this, because as we all know, a lot of us here may have iPhones. It started from a garage.
Yes.
as home occupation. If we kill that, guess what? We will not have iPhone in our pocket, or maybe a little more expensive, more difficult to have it. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions? Unless you have anything else, thank you very much.
Well, thank you for your time. Thank you.
As part of the public hearing, I need to ask if there's any in the audience who wish to make comment on this issue. And I'll do it again. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to make comment on this issue? Seeing none, I close the public hearing. Bring it back. Anyone have any final comments?
No.
Then I ask for a motion.
I move to recommend the approval of conditional use permit for home occupation at 2867 Hamlet Avenue North.
Have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. You're welcome. Okay, next order of business is a site approval plan for a Valvoline LLC oil change business at 7039 10th Street North. Luke?
Yes, thank you. So yes, Valvoline is the applicant here. They're requesting approval to establish an oil change business there in Bergen Plaza. Let's see if we can bring the screen up here. So this site is just south of 10th Street. It's next to Cub Foods, KFC, Burger King, and Taco Bell. Taco Bell's to the south there. It's a 1.2 acre site that is currently, it contains a vacant building that was formerly a daycare. The property is Zone C2 Community Commercial, which allows the proposed use here. Just a little bit more request details. So the plan is for Valvoline to demolish the existing site and then construct a new building. So this would be a little over 2,000 square foot building for the oil change operations. And they would also do some other minor vehicle maintenance services. So during each shift, it's anticipated that they will employ 6 to 7 employees. All services are to be conducted indoors, and the applicant reports that 100% of materials from the oil changes is recycled. So here's a look at the site plan. So there are 3 accesses to the site, 2 on the north side there, and then 1 to the south. So the way that this will work is that, if I can get the laser pointer working here, vehicles would queue on the west side of the building. The building is here in the center, the white triangle, or the white rectangle, excuse me. And then vehicles travel west to east, and there are 3 service bays here. And there's also a bypass lane on the south side for vehicles. There are 11 off-street parking spaces to the west here, and that does meet code requirements for parking. There is an existing sidewalk on the east side of the property that the applicant will maintain or preserve. And then there is a new sidewalk on the south side that will be constructed to improve pedestrian circulation. Landscaping requirements for this site plan have been met. They include 16 new trees and the preservation of 2 existing trees. Shrubs and ground covering will be planted around the building. For site lighting requirements, the applicant will have to update their photometric plan. I know that wasn't included in the packet, but that plan does show that there is just one portion on the north side of the site that goes above what the ordinance allows in terms of foot candles, and that's 0.5 foot candles at the edge, or at the property line. So it's just a minor adjustment that the applicant will have to make. The applicant will need to work closely with the Ramsey, Washington Metro Watershed District and also the city engineering department in terms of ensuring that stormwater provisions are in compliance. The applicant will also need to work closely with the fire department to obtain approval for the location of the hydrants and the fire department connections. And here is a look at the rendering of the building, I should say, singular. So the proposed materials is mostly of stone, brick, metal, and glass, and this satisfies the code requirements for exterior building materials. There is a revised trash enclosure rendering that's not shown on this image here, but it does meet code requirements for proper screening and also for having a proper roof enclosure. For signage, you can see that there's some wall signage being proposed here, and there's also a freestanding sign proposed, and the applicant will need to obtain building permits for those. One kind of complex thing here that needs to be hammered out at the Planning Commission is the screening of rooftop utilities. So by code, the rooftop equipment must be screened by materials that are comparable and compatible with that of the building. Now, exceptions to this can be made after the city's Development Review Committee, which is an internal staff committee, consults with the Planning Commission. So in this instance, it's a little hard to see on the screen here, but in the top right, the rendering there's some rooftop equipment there. It's not screened, but the applicant is showing that it will be painted. It'll have colors that will help it blend in with the structure as a way to, screening here it's not practical, but this is one way to help ensure that it blends in with the building. So where am I at here? So from the staff's perspective, we find that the use of the colors that blend in with the rooftop is appropriate as an alternative to the rooftop screening, but the Planning Commission should determine if the proposed alternative is an acceptable solution. So I would ask you to capture your determination in your discussion. And just in closing here, staff finds that the request complies with the zoning ordinance subject to certain conditions that need to be met. And staff recommends approval of the site plan subject to the following conditions. And I will just summarize those. They're in the resolution, the last page of the packet. So number one is execution of a development agreement. Number two is that the applicant obtain permits and approvals from the watershed district, if applicable. Number three, the applicant obtain approval for the site civil construction plans from the city engineer. Number four, the applicant must obtain approval from the fire department for the proposed locations of the hydrants and fire department connections. And finally, number five, the photometric plan must be revised to comply with the code requirements for site lighting. This is not a public hearing item, but the applicant is here in attendance, traveled out of state to be here. So if the commission has any questions, they are here. Otherwise, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Luke?
No.
It's not so much question, but I just want to congratulate the applicant for the proposal. This is a type of clean business that we want for the city here. Obviously, it's an opportunity to create jobs. And they're coming forward, putting their money on the forefront to contribute to the city of Oakdale. So for me, I want to encourage them and thank you for opening up your business in this city.
Anyone else? I guess the only one question I would have had is, in looking at it, I can see some of them are just vents, which would not be a big issue. What are those other four? Basically larger fans, or is it actual air conditioning equipment? And perhaps that's a better question for the applicant, but.
Yeah, before I fumble on this one, I might defer to the applicant.
Okay.
So.
At
Look
that
like
time,
exhaust fans.
yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah.
At that point, I guess if the applicant wishes to come forward.
You're absolutely right. They are, it's not actual mechanical equipment. They're actually vents for exhaust fans.
Just venting fans, okay.
Yeah, they're the fans themselves, correct?
Excuse me?
They're the fans themselves?
It's the exhaust, yeah.
Exhaust
for-
fan itself?
Yes,
Yeah.
It's clean air for
it's, yeah.
when you're doing
clean air,
automotive
exactly.
repair.
Exactly,
So in case you're running the cars in the wintertime, so you can
yes.
scrubs the air.
Yeah, because we do all of our work interior, so
Exactly.
we need those.
The only question, other than that I've got would be, just to make sure, a clarification, you do know there is another applicant for an oil change service in Oakdale that's already gone through.
No. But, and that's fine and dandy.
I just wanted to make sure you knew.
No, I appreciate that. But I'm sure you guys will really be satisfied with Valvoline. This is one of their corporate stores. They're very nice, well-maintained stores. Landscaping, irrigation, they have professional services that come in. maintain everything. So it's not just planted and it dies and, it's an eyesore. They're very particular when it comes to their sites. So,
Are you familiar with the site in Woodbury?
no, I am not.
Okay, then my other question wouldn't apply then.
Nope, I'm not.
This is in Bergen Plaza, and right now, that's kind of been kind of a sitting there doing nothing. So this is definitely a super improvement. And I think it will help with that site to help it look better than it has in the
I'm
past.
sure you guys will be very pleased. And they really do maintain. They don't store anything outside. They recycle all of their material. There's no 55-gallon drums sitting out or even inside. Everything is pumped out into a truck and it's taken away, and those products are actually recycled also.
Any of these vents are all gonna be lower than the top roof line then,
Oh, yes,
correct?
yes.
So your auto repair, are you doing just basic tune-ups and?
Just, yes,
uh,
yep. There's
brake-
no overnights.
Brake
It's,
jobs, no engine
nope,
repair or anything
nope,
heavy? Just
there's not.
Okay.
No overnight storage. They're very stringent on that.
Yeah, if anybody's been to the one in Woodbury, it's an in and out, and you're about 30 minutes, I think is what I sat there waiting for.
Well, if the door's open and you drive right in, they shoot for 15.
I'm there every 4,000 miles, so.
Does anyone else have questions for the gentleman? I thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Any final questions for Luke at this point? Then I ask for a motion to approve the site approval.
Mr. Chair, just to capture that, the determination on the rooftop utilities, if that's appropriate, if the commission can just weigh in on that and just have that for the record, please.
Okay. He answered my question on what the type of equipment was. It's simply an exhaust fan. That's about as low impact as you can get short of a vent.
Got no issues with it.
I have no issues with it either.
I'm sure it's all in compliance with the state, so I'm sure it's perfect. Works for you.
Yeah, says yes. Okay, at that, any other issues before we take a motion? Okay, then I look for a motion.
I will make a motion to recommend approval of the site plan for an oil change business at 7039 10th Street North.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. I thank you very much. And the next one is the planning and development update.
There's no public hearing, so. Yes, so I would expect it an August meeting. We are nearing having a completed draft of the Glenbrook Small Area Plan, so I think that will be ready in August. Not sure on any new applications that might come through. And then Max, you have one update as well?
Yeah, well, this has mainly been an issue for the Environmental Management Commission. We are nearing the end of the bike and pedestrian planning cycle. We will be presenting a first initial full draft of the text at the next city council workshop. And within about a month or so, we're hoping to have a full put through illustrating software package to have a nice, pretty, full, complete draft on the website, and any input during that period while we open it up for comment that the Planning Commission might have will be welcome.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else, gentlemen? Next is Councilmember Ingebrigtson, if you've got anything for us.
Just maybe worth mentioning, one thing that did come up that we may or may not be looking at is possibly combining the fire and police department expansions. Realistically, at some point with the change of our fire department from volunteer to full-time, we're probably going to need to go to one central station instead of a north and central. And I know that it is according to Fire Chief Wold and Police Chief Newton, it is their desire to have those combined. So we may take a look at that. It's kind of a last minute thing. But, you know, if we think it's to the benefit of the city and our departments, we think it's worth taking a look at. So not exactly development related, but kind of. So
Would that impact the remodel of the city hall?
the remodel of the city hall is further out.
Okay.
Well, but, you know, the expansion of the police was originally docketed for right here, you know, going into Walton Park. You know, and one of the comments that was made is if we can avoid losing parkland for the expansion, that's of huge benefit, since you brought it up. But something we're looking at. Conversations are early, but I would anticipate we're not going to kick the can down the road too much on that. We'll assess and figure it out one way or the other as quickly as possible. So,
One question I would have, I'm sure a number of citizens might, is that I know the distance from a fire station impacts insurance rates. I don't know what that distance is, so I'll just offer it to you for something you guys should look into.
oh. It would, and what I will tell you too is if that were to happen, you know, location would be a critical factor there. And it would be very centrally located versus on one end or on the other end of the city. You know, I think that if it were to happen, but that, you know, it was just brought up recently and, you know, I have no idea how that'll turn out, but thought it was worth mentioning. So, and I don't know, Luke, if you have any comments on that at this point.
I don't have any updates.
So, but yeah, it just actually came up at the last workshop, so.
Any other questions for Jake? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That brings us to adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you very much.
So we're expecting an August meeting?
I think so.